my God. So yeah, I actually just clicked on this piece of brilliance. This is, dude, Al Gore's internet has both simultaneously enraged me this week, made me cry, but sometimes there's things like this. This guy says, one of my best and oldest friends broke up with his high school girlfriend over a decade ago. Today, his wife of 7 years found this absolute ornament in their mailbox. Just stop what you're doing and read. So he has screenshots of this 2-page letter that
2 pages,
front and back,
and it's regarding demand for restitution for stealing my daughter's honor.
Oh, fuck you. Your daughter gave her honor up.
This is the craziest thing. And it's full too of like biblical stuff. Verses. It seems, oh my God, just so awkward.
Why are you? It honestly is weird to me that parents are so invested in their child's sex life
and virginity.
I really don't feel like I would want to. Like, it's weird to me that you care that much about who your kid is fucking. Like, as long as they're being like safe or whatever. And this was a decade ago, so it's fine. Like, seriously,
sir, calm down.
Because I assume when they say that, like, her honor, they mean her virginity.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Okay. Like,
also, too,
sounds like you need to have a conversation with your kid.
Yeah.
Well, and if it bothers you that much, talk to your daughter about it. Like, why are you...
Don't do this to your kid. I feel so bad for her.
Is your daughter safe?
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Is she safe right now?
Oh, my God.
I have concerns. I have so many concerns.
They totally have a poop knife.
Oh, okay. All right. I feel like we need to address this because a thread has started on our Facebook group. We did not mean any offense to sit down wipers or to stand up wipers, okay? Because there has been a thread started in the Facebook group about people who stand up to wipe. And apparently it is not as rare as I thought it was. Apparently lots of people do it. So I want to say there's no wrong way to wipe.
No. Well,
okay?
there is.
You do what you
there
need
is
to
a
do.
wrong way to wipe, and we all know that's when you back to front. Exactly. Because no one likes a shitty vagina.
That's right.
You're right.
And I'll tell you right now, if you're doing it that way, this isn't like this is just a way people do it thing. You are doing it wrong.
Right.
Yes.
Please.
This is a medical
Put down
problem.
your UTI medicine.
Mm-hmm, that's
right.
exactly
Take notes.
right.
Down that cranberry juice.
If you've been wondering why you keep getting UTIs, if you've drank your weight in cranberry juice in the last month, let me help you out.
You got a wiping
You're
problem.
wiping the wrong way. So you're right. There is a wrong way to wipe, but I thought it was so funny because we started sharing like, well, at least we can all agree that poop knives are not okay.
Eric
so we were like hashtagging
found them on Amazon.
No. Oh my God.
No.
I'm gonna need you to send me a picture.
I will.
What does it look like? Does it look like a plastic
I'm gonna
butter
get
knife?
it for you for Christmas. I was like, you
Oh my God.
motherfucking better not. We are not having a
Call
poop
him in
knife.
that room
You should
right
get
now.
it for a
Christina,
white elephant. Is
call
what you should
him
get it
in
for.
the room right now to let me see that shit. I need to see it.
I'm appalled. I am shocked and appalled.
This isn't something you can buy on Amazon. I
so
don't.
grossed
I'm
out.
To the
Colin-
store. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's.
Oh shit!
I'll make him
We're
post
on
it.
week two of discussing poop knives.
Oh man!
But I mean, because we were hashtagging it all over on our Facebook page, that was like solidarity against poop knives. Like we can all agree this is. At this time, when our country is so divided, at a time like this, TM, let's just say we can all agree that poop knives are not okay. Let's all be united against poop knives.
I'm with that. I am also shocked that you guys don't shave your butt.
Oh, that's me.
No,
me.
I try. Okay, so this is the other thing.
Okay.
This is what happened.
Okay.
So Our friend on our Facebook group, she was talking about how people now apparently shave their buttholes. And she's like, this is something that I can't get behind. And so I commented and I said, well, I'm not going to lie. I try. I do try. And just like Christina, it involves a maneuver, usually in the shower, where you fling your leg up basically as high as you can get it. And then you kind of go under and over.
Spread cheek.
The cheek. You can use one hand to spread if you have that kind of balance. That's generally how that works. And I'm not generally super successful at this because it's really hard to bend that way. And I'm really nervous that I'm going to cut something.
Get you a shower stool. No,
the concept of it wasn't weird to me because I'm like, yeah, like people grow hair back there. And then Cassie was like, I don't grow hair around my asshole. And I'm like, oh, well, Lottie, you're such a fucking princess with no hair around your asshole.
I have a low vagina.
Dude, I get like long ass butt hairs. Long butt crack hairs.
No.
They're like curl.
No.
They're so long.
No,
like
I know.
Inches
No.
long. And I'm like, if I'm going to have somebody in there like eating my booty, they can't like, that's
No,
too
you can't
much.
run into a hair.
It's only
No,
considerate.
I believe you. I just
it's-
don't believe that. I double checked because I was like, okay, am I crazy? I don't have butthole hair. I don't. That's weird. It's not weird because
it's not
apparently
weird.
a lot of. But we've all
Bodies are
determined that
different.
I'm actually the weird one, and I get it. That's okay.
They're not on my butthole per se, but it's like
It's
around
around the outer rim.
Yeah.
Situation. And you know what? I felt a lot less weird about this when I used to work in a salon. I worked in a salon and spa as a receptionist for like a couple of years whenever I was a teenager. And you know, the women would do Brazilian waxes and I'd never done one. But, you know, I was friends with one of the estheticians and she was like, everyone's always surprised when I ask them if they want me to wax like the inside of their cheeks and like the, you know, butthole area. And I'm like, everybody grows hair there. Like most people grow hair there. So what they do is they get you on all fours.
Oh.
And then they come up behind you with wax strips, you know, spread them cheeks and rip that hair right off.
I've never
and so
had
I was
to do
like,
it that
okay,
way.
so it's normal to have butthole hair.
I also
Not
worked
in
a
the hole.
No, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I've never had to have that waxed. I don't, but I'm not, we also discussed this before. I'm not a very hairy person.
No.
So like, you've seen my legs. Like I even on my calf, like I have a whole entire area on my calf that just doesn't even grow hair. Like it's weird. Like, so that just could be one of those areas. Like I know like my husband has butt hair. Like I'm certain that a lot of people do. I'm not like dispelling the idea that happens. I'm just saying like I've never, thank God. I have toe hair.
You know,
I have
big toe.
I think I want to get like a Brazilian wax when all of this is over. Like maybe before the wedding, just to see what it's like.
Oh,
yeah.
And also because honestly, shaving the whole situation, which is what I do, usually is a lot.
It is.
Like it is, you are contorting your body in ways that are completely unnatural.
Oh my God.
Listen,
in an
I
attempt
don't
to remove all
when
the
it
hair.
grows, when it grows back in,
the itch.
oh my God. And oh my God, you just want to just fucking dig in there and just be like,
I will say, I've started using an electric razor and it helps the itch situation a lot.
Okay.
Like it's a lot less aggressive.
and faster.
But yeah,
probably.
Cassie.
Okay, we got to talk about this because I know that there is like generational conversations built around your vaginal hair, vaginal hairs.
Vaginal.
First, I don't like to be bald. I have a real issue with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of triggering for me in general. Like if I'm bald down there, it's a real trigger for me because of my own personal past. And I feel like I look like a a child, and it totally wigs me out. And so I definitely never shave fully. I'm definitely like that, like patch. Like I always leave a little bit. Like I don't like 70s porn bush, but
Right.
like I don't know. Where do you guys land on that?
Well, here's the thing. I tried to do the landing strip for a while. I found trying to do the landing strip to be higher maintenance than just shaving it all off. And also, very rarely did I get a straight line. And so it was kind of like cutting bangs where I would like do the line and then it's like a little uneven on one side. So then you have to shave that down. And then it's a little uneven on the other side. So you shave that down and then you're left with like a real narrow strip. And I'm like,
it just looks like a weird mohawk.
It was too much work. I'm not opposed to the landing strip at all. I'm too low maintenance, like not low maintenance, but like it was too high maintenance to constantly trim it that way. It was just easier for me to shave the whole thing off.
So let me clarify that I don't actually leave a strip, like a line. Like it's more like a triangle. Like so I shave like in the natural bone areas, like pubic bone areas, like to a certain point. That kind of is more of a natural triangle.
Well, also my hair, the way it grows, if I just let that shit go wild, like we're going to be dealing with a full-on Amazon rainforest situation.
Yeah,
sure.
So even if I let it grow, I would still have to trim it so that it didn't get too long. And for me, it's just easier to shave it all off. It's not necessarily about like, oh, I need to be smooth and bald. It's just easier.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm the V too. What's annoying to me is like shaving the lips. That always makes me so nervous.
Oh man,
I know, girl.
So nervous.
I'll tell you, the electric razor helps with that a little bit too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try this electric razor shit.
I need to Amazon that. Yeah.
It works better for me because I'm prone to getting ingrown hairs. And the electric razor has pretty much like all but eliminated that problem for me. So you might not get like as close a shave necessarily. Like if you're wearing a swimsuit that's like really like high up on the hips or something, you might still need to go in with a regular razor. But just for like daily maintenance, regular life, it's so much better to me. And you don't have to buy like shaving cream and new razors and shit all the time. You just charge it.
Oh, well, there we go. Helpful hints.
We had this conversation. So what's your thoughts on manscaping in that region? Because when I first met Chris, he was like bald balls and he was like Mr. Grooms it. And it grossed me out. I don't like it.
I like it just because I like sucking balls. But yeah, and I mean, if you're down there and I like it kept. I like it kept and clean. You know what I mean?
Yes, because have you ever gotten hair?
Oh, yeah, we all have. And you make that cat noise.
Yes, exactly. That happened to me once. Like in the middle, like while the activity was ongoing. And I felt it. Like hit the back of my throat. And I was like, ha, ha. And so then the whole time, that's all I thought about until I could like go spit in the sink. I'm just saying it was terrible.
Yeah.
So
phantom hair just thinking of it. I'm like,
I know.
I dated a guy who shaved everything, like everything. And fine. I've also been with people who don't, and also fine. Really, it's their personal preference, like what they want to do with their body. That's fine with me. But I will say, I do prefer like maintain it. Whatever you're gonna do, just make sure it's maintained because nobody wants to floss with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't like take care of it, groom it, keep it low, whatever. And again, everybody's got different types of hair.
Right.
So, like there's different levels of like curl versus volume versus all those things. So
I really hope my mom doesn't listen to this episode. Every now and again we record one where I'm like, please don't let this be the one where she's like, you know what?
I'll give it a try.
Put it on.
I miss her. Peek a listen.
I went out on a few dates with a guy that had red hair down there and a lot of it. and it had been a while since I'd seen such a full like bush of ball hair, and it made me think it
just looked like a burning bush.
It made me think of Carrot Top for some reason.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I hate that.
And I was
Okay. So that made me think about the strip that you were talking about, Keegan, because when a guy goes down on you and you leave just a little strip, the guy looks like Hitler.
You're looking down and you're like, oh, I don't like this at all.
No.
oh my god. Oh my god.
That's why I gotta be strategic. Can't be that square shit.
Oh God. I mean, whatever you want to do is fine. But yeah, for me personally, on a dude, I don't care as long as it's maintained. Like, just groom yourself appropriately. Yeah. That's all.
I mean, do the best you can, because let's be honest, like dicks are really weird looking.
Yeah, this is more of a preference talk versus like a
right.
We're writing a rule book on this. I mean, honestly,
yes.
I mean, you're right. Men are absolutely allowed to do whatever they want with their,
Christina.
dicks.
They're so weird looking, though. If you ever like look at like,
I know,
penises, they're so weird.
I've never seen a penis. What?
What? Excuse me?
Friend?
I'm sorry. We
Never
have
heard of
sex
it.
through a hole in the sheet.
Oh my god.
Never seen
Lord.
Friends.
I mean, bodies are weird in general.
Yeah.
I will say.
Have you ever done that where you stare too long at yourself in the mirror and then you don't make sense anymore?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. And I think that might be the same for dicks. It's like, if you look at it too long, you're like, that's
it's like when you say a certain word over and over and over again and it starts to sound weird.
Yeah.
Or like you spell something and you've spelled it right. Like I did that recently where I had to ask Anthony, I can't remember what word it was, but I was like, did I spell this right? And he's like, yes. And I knew I had, but it looked weird to me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we do with our bodies and our faces in particular.
Well,
Well,
what should we?
this is my worst date.
Oh,
I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
Oh, wait, before we move on, we do, because, okay, look, we are a fun show. We like to keep it light because we're an escape for you guys, but we also recognize that this week has been really fucking hard for a lot of people. It's been difficult. It's been difficult for me. I know it's been difficult for both of you. And so, we do want to acknowledge that the world is a scary place right now. So on Facebook, I had posted something because I was just like, everything I saw made me so mad, made me want to cry. I was spending like the whole day fucking arguing with strangers on the internet. And I saw this story and I was like, I have to share this story because this story is what we need right now. And it was a 7-year-old boy who, by the way, is the cutest kid I think maybe I've ever seen. He's so cute.
Fucking cute.
So cute. And he's wearing like a little suit and bow tie and he's smiling and it's so cute. And his nanny or his babysitter is standing 6 feet behind him. And he heard that she wasn't going to get to have her prom because of COVID. And so he, on his own as a 7-year-old,
I love him,
wanted to throw her a prom, arranged the whole thing. He got sparkling grape juice and had all of her favorite foods brought in, so she got dressed up in her prom dress. And then he met her, took pictures, and led her with a pool noodle so that they could stay 6 feet away to go get dinner. They had dinner
cutest.
Like in his backyard or something, and it
by
is
like a tree house or something. It's so cute.
Cutest thing I've ever seen.
This kid put in more effort than 99.9% of dates ever. He's fucking 7.
Sure did.
This kid is a gem.
He knows what's up. Oh man, like what a precious angel. I was like, this is the story we need right now.
Exactly.
Yes.
And parents, you're doing it right. You're doing it right. When your 7-year-old does all that on their own,
just to make somebody happy because somebody that they knew and loved didn't get to have this experience. Like, what a sweet sweetheart.
Oh my God.
Yes.
We need more of them.
Yes.
More 7-year-old boys who are being raised exactly like that.
Exactly.
Ugh.
God, he was so cute too. I just wanted to squeeze him.
Little Sue.
His cheeks, I was just like, oh man. Every now and then I do see a child that makes me, like, restores my faith in wanting to have children. And that was one of them.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be your son. Because that's
Like,
a 7-year-old Anthony if I ever heard of it.
It really is.
Honestly, for real. Yeah, for real.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
That's my favorite things too is when little kids are like dressed up in like really like adult clothes, like suits or whatever. It's just I'm like,
babies in suits.
what are you doing in your
gosh,
little
shut
suit?
up.
What are you doing?
Oh, your little tiny loafers. Oh my God, so cute.
Well,
All right. So, what are we going to do for Fuck, Marry, Kill this week?
God, I don't even know.
yeah, I
don't
just
know.
wanted to kill this week. You know?
Amen.
Honestly, true.
Amen.
Well, okay, here's a thought that I had.
Okay.
Because Anthony and I were karaokeing last night, and then eventually we ended up and we were watching like the Weeknd's music videos for some reason. And it made me feel like the Weeknd is that kind of very talented dude who you know is gonna fuck you over if you date him, though. Someone described it. Someone on Twitter was like, "I miss when the Weeknd used to make haunted strip club music," and I was like, "That's exactly what that is.
Haunted strip.
It's 100% what he's doing." And so it made me think, why don't we fuck, marry, kill fuckboys, like famous fuckboys?
Famous fuckboys. I love it.
Because the Weeknd's a fuckboy for sure. Like, you know that guy is gonna break your heart. And then write a song about it, and you're going to get with him anyway.
Who else? I mean, I know we've done Leonardo DiCaprio. He's famous fuckboy.
Shit. The singer, the guy, he's dated like everybody on the planet.
Oh, John Mayer.
John Mayer.
Perfect.
Oh, fuck yeah.
John Mayer.
Perfect. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so we got John Mayer
We've got
and
The Weeknd.
Weeknd.
It's just,
Drake.
We've never done Drake before.
Oh, Drake.
Drake's a
Didn't
good
he
one.
go?
I love Drake.
Didn't he
Damn
get thirsty for Billie Eilish?
Yeah,
I don't
he's
like
I'm looking at him with some significant side eye. For sure. But
Very
he is
strong
a
side-eye.
super fuckboy for sure.
I'm like, settle down, Aubrey.
Aubrey, honey. Wheelchair Jimmy or whatever the fuck his name was on Degrassi.
Damn, you guys coming in hot.
Yeah.
All right, so we got
Okay.
John Mayer, Weeknd, and Drake.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Oh my God, I hate myself for my answer. I hate myself.
I think I know mine for sure.
Oh no,
hate-
I'm gonna hate myself no matter
Yeah.
which decision I make.
I hate that I'm going to marry John Mayer. I hate it.
Wow.
I hate it. I hate myself. I hate myself. I haven't learned anything.
But you know what? But John Mayer, he is that type of fuckboy. Like, that's why he's a
I
fuckboy.
know.
Is
No,
because
he's got a big
he is
dick.
the fuckboy on the cover of that romance novel that Kelly shared in our Facebook
Yes.
group. It's
Yes.
because like you're a really talented musician, and you write things that make me think that you're deep and soulful. And I will fall for
I
it
will
100%
every goddamn time. Every time.
Every fucking time. And I know better.
I
know better.
I do. And I'm like, dude, there's going to be, another girl's panties under the bed. There's going to be
damn.
lots of tears.
Listen,
And I'm still,
no matter what we do, whoever we marry, we're all going to be having the same conversation.
I know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but they're different. I do feel like they're different kinds. They're different types of fuckboy.
Right.
They really
Different
are.
levels of shame.
I do feel like John Mayer is the one that I would be most likely to fall
Right.
for. However, he would not fall for me because he said in Playboy that he doesn't like black chicks.
So, wait, what?
Shit. I didn't know
So
that.
we're not gonna.
Oh.
So John Mayer won't like me. So I'm gonna kill John Mayer.
Good. Good.
Fuck him.
But yes, unfortunate for him because he probably would have been my choice. Too bad.
Dude, there's something about the Weeknd that makes me think that he would try harder in bed.
I'm gonna marry the Weeknd. I'm gonna marry the Weeknd.
Fuck the Weeknd.
And I'm gonna fuck Drake.
I'm gonna kill Drake.
Okay.
There's something about his face. I love his music. I really do. I get down to Drake. I love it. But yeah, I just
see
Me too.
Yeah, I don't want to marry Drake. There's something about Drake to me that's like not marryable. Like I feel like, well, I guess this is the case with all of them, but for sure I feel like Drake would be very gaslighty in that when he's with you, he probably makes you feel like you're the only one for sure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then he's going to go out and he's going to fuck a bunch of people and you're going to see it on TMZ and then he's going to come home and you're going to confront him about it and then he's going to gaslight you again. That's how I feel like Drake is going to act.
So I'm going to marry Drake. And I hear what you're saying, but I think that I'm not very easily gaslit.
No.
Okay.
You're not.
And I will fuck his face up. So
fuck that moneymaker up.
I will. Don't step to me, motherfucker.
Don't test me.
Here, don't test me. I'm going to marry Drake. And I'm going to fuck John Mayer. Because
I feel like he's got a big dick for some reason.
I feel like he does.
I really do feel like he
Energy.
does. I do.
And then I'm going to kill the Weeknd. I just don't like his face.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's good looking.
I don't love that hair, if I'm honest.
Well, his hair's different now. The hair is different.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have to worry about that anymore.
I
don't mind his face.
Just
I don't know.
think he's
There's
good looking.
something
I think Drake is hot, and I fucking
Drake is
love
hot.
Drake's music.
Mm.
I fucking love his music.
Yeah, and I do too.
I hate myself for it. I hate it. I don't want to be the person who likes Drake. I cannot help myself.
I give no apologies. Look, sometimes you need good time music and whatever.
Yeah.
Like if you're enjoying it, who cares? Life is hard. Enjoy what you enjoy. But yeah, I like The Weeknd's music too. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. And I think he's talented. Hair was not my fave, but you know what? He's cut it. But I do feel like The Weeknd is the type of dude who's going to tell you from the beginning exactly who he is, and you're going to ignore it. Like, I feel like Drake is going to gaslight you and make you believe he's a good guy when he's not. John Mayer is probably going to do the same thing. The Weeknd is going to straight up tell you he's trash.
Yeah.
And you're going to get with him anyway.
Yeah.
You're like, I can change him, though.
Yep. No, you can't.
See, that's the thing, though, is that I feel like with John Mayer, which is why I'm just going to fuck him, I feel like I would be easier for me to believe his lies than Drake to gaslight me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, listen, sir, you may think you're sly, but Mama knows all.
The problem with John Mayer is that he has the same issue that we're seeing a lot in the media these days, where if he just shut up for like 5 seconds, people would be all over him. It's like he cannot stop talking. Because he did an interview like a couple of years ago talking about the whole Playboy situation, and he somehow made it worse. I'm like,
God.
Anytime he opens his mouth, he like makes it worse. So you do know, Christina, if you're going to marry John Mayer, you could win any argument with John Mayer.
Yeah.
Any argument.
He's going to put his foot in his mouth.
Because he doesn't know when to stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be a lot of emotional labor, a lot of work. And it sucks.
Oh, for sure.
It sucks because then, after we get divorced, the next chick's better off for all the fucking work I put in.
I know. 100%. 100%.
That's
right.
All right. I like that we all had different choices.
Yeah, me
too.
No wrong answers in the fuckboy game, really.
That's right. They're all wrong answers is the problem.
That's exactly right. You're right. No right answers in the
no
fuckboy
right.
game.
Look, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
And we're back.
Yay.
All right. So I'll kick us off with some stories. This is one that we got to our inbox. And it says, Dear Worsties, I said I'd eventually get around to telling you a shame receipt. Now that the world has gone into COVID lockdown, it seems like a pretty good
Nice.
time.
Perfect.
I married young to what seemed like at the time to be the perfect Christian gentleman. Almost 3 years of gaslighting, verbal abuse, and intimidation later, I was thankfully separated and trying to move on with the pieces that once resembled my life. Despite all the shit that my ex-husband put me through, love, unfortunately, isn't just something you can wish away overnight.
Oh, don't I know it? Don't I know it?
It's so true.
I think part of me knew I was in danger of returning to my ex-husband. I made the executive decision to have a rebound palate cleanser.
Yes.
I made the executive decision to have a rebound palate cleanser or forcefully undickmatize myself.
That's awesome.
Note, my self-esteem was at the lowest it has ever been. I had been spending a lot of time with a guy friend from work who I 100% believed had some bisexual tendencies. His name was Ben. I had nothing but respect for Ben as I stayed on his couch at least once when my ex-husband wasn't safe to be around. The second time I stayed there, I was still living with my husband, but separated. Dangerous territory in many aspects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was quickly drinking my way through a 6-pack of ciders. Needless to say, I was feeling all the emotions. I told him I was rebounding hard and didn't want to ruin the friendship, but really wanted to feel desirable by someone else. I totally understand that. Sometimes that's what you need, especially if you've gone in a relationship. If you've been in a relationship where there was years and years of breaking down of your self-esteem and your self-worth, like, it is important. We as human beings need to feel that connection. We need to feel like we're desirable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that completely. I was dying for some kind of intimacy with another human being. My ex-husband had left me with some very fragile self-esteem. What a surprise. Ben clarified my consent. Way to go, Ben. And then we started making out. It quickly got a little weird as the layers came off. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I feel like you should warn a girl that you use a lot of tongue. By this, I mean he asked me to lie down on the couch and then removed my top and pulled my pants down to my knees. He then proceeded to lick me all over like a cat.
Oh.
Wait. No.
Every kind of licking motion imaginable. From little kitten tongue to a full tongue to a sort of windmill motion.
No.
Cassie's done.
No, like
Get
'cause
your
saliva is sticky.
off of me.
First of all, and like your whole body is going to be sticky after this. Once it dries, or like when it's in the process of drying,
Oh my
is
God.
when it's at maximum stickiness.
Oh.
I'm just saying,
Oh my
disgusting.
God, I'm gag.
I have never been with a person who gets so excited just by licking. Is this a fetish thing? He started on my torso and worked his way up my body and down my arms.
They're like, sir, you're going the wrong way. That's like, it's like
Also, first of all, yeah, you start just pushing his head down. No. I mean, I know we hate that, but also desperate times.
I also hate that you're licking my arm.
Why are you licking down my arms? Oh, I hate it.
No.
I feel like my whole body stinks right now.
oh my
Just
God.
from saliva mouth.
All the while, he was asking me to keep my hands above my head and not move them.
Oh.
When I did, he would just forcibly push them back in place above my head. I was like, okay, you don't want to come up here and kiss me? Hoping he would take the hint and maybe move the foreplay along. He replied, oh no, I'm good here, and continued covering me with his saliva in a more vigorous fashion.
No. Oh, God.
He had a bulge at this point and was making noises like he was about to get off. So I tried to lick his upper body with as much enthusiasm.
No. Oh, my God. When you're like, okay.
I got in. I guess this is what we're doing.
I
guess this is what we're doing.
Oh, God.
I got in about 3 good licks before my tongue was all dried out from his skin, and I pleaded with him to just go to the bedroom. 2 pumps later, and he was up to a semi and already finished. In my head, I was like, gosh, for $30, I could have bought a vibrator and avoided the bullshit.
Oh, Jesus.
He had more of an erection licking me like a cat than he did when his dick was inside me.
Oh, no.
Did I mention? Oh, sorry.
Have you guys ever participated in foreplay or whatever? That's something like that. It just makes me laugh that she started doing it to him because you're like, I guess we're in this now. Like the only thing I can think of is there was a guy that I went on a few dates with who was like really into like super slow sex, like, and foreplay, like would not go above like a crawl, like would never get
I'm
faster.
sorry. It's like fucking a sloth. I'm not interested in that at all. Like I got shit to do. Okay, could you move it along?
And like eye contact the whole time too.
No, absolutely not. Oh God, no. Oh,
I'm like, no. Are you pretending to be Sting? Like
that seems like
oh my God.
Honestly, probably my least favorite. That's probably my least favorite. I don't like super slow sex. Like, what? Why? What's happening?
Exactly.
This is all making me very uncomfortable. I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it.
I just don't like. I connect with people through like conversation and like getting to know them personally. I guess some people probably connect through sex, and like for me, like sex is great and wonderful, but for me, sex is about getting off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
amen.
I don't I connect with you through knowing you, like not through super slow 100% eye contact sex.
Well, it's also very awkward to do that for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Like I get incorporating some, like sometimes it does, there is a connection or it feels really good or whatever once you like know somebody and you love them and all that stuff, but
sure,
for the
yeah.
very first time
Exactly.
it's the awkward.
We don't know each other that well. Like I don't know your mother's maiden name. I don't think we should be having 100% eye contact sex right now. This feels wrong.
Oh my God.
Okay. She says, did I mention that we work together? When I saw him at work the next week, he acted like he had amnesia. Even though I said there were no hard feelings if he didn't want to keep seeing me, but just let me know. He was adamant he wanted to keep seeing me and kept making plans to meet me and then not showing up.
Ew.
I fucking hate that.
Immature.
You know I hate having my time
on.
wasted. I hate having my fucking time wasted. Just say you don't want to hang out. Done.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
We rescheduled a couple of times and he just acted like he forgot or that something came up. He even ignored me when we were paired up on assignments together. What a baby. It was similar to when a toddler puts their hands over their eyes, convinced they're invisible.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
He thought he was being so smooth, but in reality, he just looked like a moron. Guess he regretted it almost as much as I did at the time. Thanks for all the wonderful episodes, ladies, and all the hard work you've put into them. I love the podcast and the community you've created. I can't wait for the next 100 episodes.
Yay.
Sincerely, your Aussie fan, Katie.
Aw, yay. Oh my gosh. Licking. A liquor.
It's not for me. And look, if that's your thing, okay. But I do feel like it needs to be communicated. Like you do need to warn somebody that you're like, look, this, you have to know that it's not quote unquote normal. Like it's not like a thing that people expect
Right.
when they're going into foreplay. So like you have to give them some warning that like, by the way, this is what gets me off. Okay. Because like, I don't want that sprung on me.
No.
Because I really don't like spit at all.
Oh God.
No, I'm totally with you. And communication during sex, it's almost like people like are scared to talk. Do you know what I mean? And not that you should have like a whole conversation, but even just like licking, being like, "Ooh, I like this. Do you like this?" You know, and
Right.
you are allowed to use your fucking mouth. and
But
not like that.
I mean, he's using his mouth. Yeah. But isn't it weird that people are more comfortable just attempting the thing than having the conversation, than using their words?
Yep.
Because I'm just like, aren't you concerned that maybe this is not something that she likes? Like, why are you more comfortable with just like going full in 100 instead of just asking?
Yeah, because that's the thing. When they go all in, their chances of getting it are more than. So it's like kind of like a little bit forceful. It's a little bit dickish because
right. I mean,
you're counting on
it's
the
what's
other person being timid enough or not, to not have autonomy and speak up.
Yeah. What is that saying where it's like, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission?
Yeah.
Just fucking do it.
Not in sex.
Not in sex.
Never.
Not in sex.
Nope.
Not in sex.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay. I got mine from Reddit. He says, during college, when I was 20, I had started messaging a cute girl on OkCupid who seemed a little quirky, but otherwise normal, and went to another college nearby. When we finally decided to meet up, she suggested we hang out at her campus. Since it was the week before Halloween, one of the local clubs was hosting a showing of old cheesy horror movies like Reanimator and such. When I meet her, she is basically how she seemed from her profile, cute and quirky and a little bit goth, but otherwise appropriately dressed. After watching a movie and having a bit of conversation, she asked if I want to go back to her dorm and stay up a while. Of course I accept, and when we get back to her common area, she pulls out her stack of DVDs. Ooh, have you seen any of the Saw movies? They're my favorite. I saw the first one and thought it was all right, so she pops in Saw 3, and we start watching it.
Oh, honey, as somebody who's seen like almost all of the Saw movies, no, this is not like a first date movie. Like you, Christina, as somebody who like went on a date and watched Zodiac, Saw is like 10 times worse.
Oh, halfway through the movie, she starts kissing me. As much as I was initially attracted to her, making out during a Saw film is incredibly awkward.
Yes, it is. It's torture porn.
I basically tell her so, but she keeps going, hopping on top of me, but still watching the movie while kissing and grinding on me.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Finally, I turn off the movie and she hops off and we just start talking. She asked me, so what are you going to dress up for for Halloween? Oh, I have this costume I'm putting together to be the dude from The Big Lebowski. What about you? Oh, well, I mean, I guess I don't have to dress up that much. Oh, yeah? Why is that? Well, isn't it obvious? At this point, she gives me a beaming smile, and I notice something I didn't before. She has huge canine teeth. She's really going all out on this costume. I inspect closer, and those are her real teeth. I get weirded out, but oddly, it's kind of hot at the same time, and I nervous laugh. I hope you aren't the kind of vampire that only sucks blood. Haha. Okay, this was a bad joke, but I wanted to distract from how awkward this situation was. She says, well, you know how I was getting pretty turned on during the movie? Well, it's because I'm a psychic vampire.
Oh, honey.
I don't typically drain blood from humans. I feed off their auras. I could feel your fear and anxiety from the film, and it fed my senses, causing arousal. Put the movie back on, and I'll suck your cock and get more of your life force that way.
Oh my God.
I got
Okay, but
Loki,
wait,
did he
I
do it?
don't
'Cause
want
I feel
them.
like-
I don't want them canines on my penis.
I know.
Exactly.
Oy.
Oh my God. So you fuck around and get a Prince Albert that way.
That's right. That's damn right.
He says, I got the fuck out of there immediately, and she kept texting me for days. Oh my God. Dude,
Yikes.
I
On
don't.
bikes.
love crazy theories, conspiracies, or like things people. One of my favorite date stories was that guy that had that whole lizard people tale.
Oh God.
I
Dude.
mean, yes.
That was Shit is wild,
low-key,
dude.
I don't want to go on those dates, but I low-key love reading about them.
And also, like, I definitely don't want to date somebody who feeds off of my, like, anxiety.
Yeah, that's not
like
good.
I'm like, are you going to keep provoking me into anxiety so that you can, quote unquote, feed off of me? Because that's not a relationship I want to participate in.
No.
Unless you actually take it away from me. And then.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Mine's not super long, but it is. I think it's funny.
Okay.
A few years ago, I met this guy. I'm pretty sure it was on Match. He was a really sweet guy. We talked through text and eventually by phone. He was a bit nerdy and we connected on books, gaming, Pokemon. I was into it, so I suggested we meet up. He said he was having a get together at a local park and asked me to meet him. I wasn't sure about meeting his friends yet, but thought, what's the harm? Maybe we'll just do Pokemon Go and, hang out at the park. I'll drive, and that way I can leave whenever I want. When I arrive, I see a large group of people gathered in the distance, and I think, oh my God, please don't let this be a fucking family reunion.
Oh, God.
Nope. It was worse. A knight, yes, a knight, Knight, comes running up to me from a group, and you guessed it, it's my date. And he invited me to a LARPing event.
No. Again,
freaking-
you have to warn somebody.
LARPing event.
You have to warn someone because, like, look, there are people who might be into that. There are also people who might be like, not my thing, but fine. Like, I'll turn up. But you have to let people know. Don't ambush people with that shit. What the fuck?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah,
There were easily. Can you imagine? There were easily 50 people there dressed as knights and kings and queens, and there were possibly about 10 people not dressed. It was the most awkward date I've ever attended.
Yeah. Yeah.
Attended. Can you imagine? Attended because you didn't go on a date. You attended an event.
Yeah.
It's a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
It's a no from me.
It's just
hold on. My
about
cats
being
are-
like aware. Like we've talked about this before. It's just like I like to know where I'm going so I can dress appropriately. You know what I mean?
Plan for it.
Plan
Right.
for it.
Oh
But
my God.
being
Can you imagine you're dressed for a date and you show up at the park and this guy, can you fucking imagine
My
somebody coming up to
God.
you dressed as a knight? As a
That's
knight.
too much. It makes me think of that Garden State or whatever. That guy.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yes.
They had that big LARPing event. That wasn't a date though. What was it?
No, it's
Oh.
the guy was dressed in like a knight costume because he worked at like one of those Renaissance dinner places or whatever.
Yes.
Oh my God. No, thank you. No, I'm good.
Dude, I thought that was so fucking funny.
Ready for that
Okay.
crazy in love.
Okie dokie. So for this week, June is Pride Month.
Yes.
So we are entering into Pride Month. And this one has been on my list of ones to do for a while. And so I thought that today might be an appropriate time to do this one.
Nice.
Okay.
I am going to talk about the death of Scott Amerdure.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
yes. So I got a lot of my info on Murderpedia. There was also an article on AJC.com. I also watched the first episode of Trial by Media, and it is also covered slightly in episode 129 of the Criminal Podcast. So that's where I got
Can
a lot
we
of this.
pause real quick? Because I watched all of the Trial by Media. I had a full on fucking breakdown about the Big Dan Tavern.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
It's
watch that
it's
one.
one of the best pieces of documentary like that I've ever seen. It's that episode in particular really fucking moving and enraged. It's don't take it on if you're already angry. Like I sobbed for like a half an hour. Eric was like, are you okay? I was like,
Are
I'm
you
so
okay?
angry. Yeah.
Dude, that show is well done. Like, I've only watched this one episode, but I mean, it was well done. Now, I will say for these purposes, it was interesting because they are coming from the perspective of like the whole point is like trial by media. So they're covering a lot of that part of it.
Right.
Whereas like the criminal episode was focused around, you know, the gay panic, trans panic defense. And so they were coming at it from that angle. So it could be a good thing to watch/listen in tandem to kind of get like a little bit of both if that's something that you're interested in. So anybody who was alive and conscious in the 90s remembers sensational daytime talk shows. Okay. Like they still exist, of course. I remember whenever I first moved out into my own place, the only time I lived alone here in Los Angeles, I only had bunny ears. And so I would and because of my work schedule, I worked like really early in the morning and then I got off fairly early in the afternoon. And so I would come home and I would turn on the TV and Maury would be on.
I know what story you're doing already.
I watched
I just remembered.
Maury.
It was on my list.
Yeah. And so Maury still exists. Like shows like this still exist. But I'm telling you, unless you were aware in the 90s, you don't know what it was like. Like it was
wild,
insane. And there were so many shows. There was the Ricky Lake show. There was Jerry Springer was the fucking king of this time. Maury, you know, all of
Sally
these shows.
Jesse Raphael.
Sally Jesse Raphael.
From Glass
Jenny. That's right.
What was it?
Jenny? And it was Jenny Jones.
Jenny
yes.
Jones. Yeah.
And it was messy. And as we know, people like watching a mess. It was like a precursor to reality TV. So in order for this to work, obviously, they had to get people who were easily manipulated, I guess, is like the best way to say that, because they managed to somehow get people to come on this show to reveal things that like I absolutely would never put my dirty laundry out there like this. It was a lot of like lying, cheating, relationship stuff. So a common theme on these shows was secret crushes, which is exactly what it sounds like. People would go on these shows and they would reveal that they had a crush on someone, and that person would be brought out and the secret would be revealed. And occasionally these ended happily. You know, occasionally it'd be like, oh, well, I like you too. And they played matchmaker and they get to feel good about themselves. So Scott Amerdure was born on January 26th, that's Anthony's birthday, 1963. And his brother Frank says that their family was a happy one, and that Scott served in the military and he had a fascination with TV and movie stars, and he always wanted to be on TV himself. So they even show pictures of him with like soap opera stars and things like that. He was very interested in it. He came out to his family during his time in the military, and his family was supportive. Frank says that even their father didn't have a problem with Scott's sexuality, so it was really like a non-issue for them. In 1995, Scott was living in Lake Orion, Michigan, and one day Scott was visiting one of his brothers who lived in an apartment complex there in Lake Orion, and Jonathan Schmitz also lived in that building, and Scott spotted him outside in the parking lot fixing his friend Donna Riley's car. And Scott was a little bit of a handyman. He was a pretty good like amateur electrician. And so he offered to help him with the car. And that's how the two of them met. And so they became fast friends and also with Donna. So the three of them would hang out all of the time on a regular basis. Scott was a big fan of the Jenny Jones show, which in the 90s, in terms of like how bad these shows were, Jenny Jones was leaned a little less crazy. Like, I don't think there were as many, like, there was a lot of the same kind of trash shit that she put on her show, but there wasn't as many like fights and things like that.
Right.
And I think that when she started out wanting to be kind of like a legitimate daytime talk show host. Like she wanted to be like an Oprah in the beginning, but it was very, very hard unless you're someone like Oprah to compete. Yeah, with these other daytime, people would rather watch Jerry Springer and watch a fight break out than watch how to make potpourri, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, so anybody who watched these shows, they remember that every show, and sometimes during commercial breaks, but at the end of every show particularly, they would start scouting for talent for future episodes. So they would come on, either they would come on or there would be like a thing that came up that said like, have you been cheating on your man with a family member and you want to come clean about it? Call us at this number. You know what I mean? They would kind of scout for future episodes. And one day while Scott was watching the Jenny Jones show, Jenny Jones came on and she said, do you have a secret crush you want to reveal to a same-sex friend? Call this number. So at this point, Scott had developed a very strong kind of infatuation or crush on Jonathan and thought that if he could get on the show, maybe he could kind of like speed things along. So he called and he was soon contacted by the show's producers. Scott told the show that he had a secret crush on Jonathan Schmitz, and so the show contacted John and told him that someone he knew had a crush on him, and they did tell him it could be a man, it could be a woman. So they were like, we're not going to say, it could be either thing, and asked if he was interested in coming on the show to find out who it was. He agreed, and this particular episode was something that has later been coined ambush television. Mm-hmm. So the person does not know what is about to happen. They're completely kept in the dark until they're on screen, on TV. And you have to admit that, like, it is a fucked up concept, in my view. Like, it is a completely, like, fucked up concept to do this to people.
Yeah.
So Scott appears on the show with their friend Donna Riley on March 6, 1995. And when Jonathan is backstage, he is wearing headphones so he can't hear what's happening on stage. And Jenny is asking Scott if Jonathan was gay, and Scott answers and says, anything's possible. And when he asks if they have any reason to believe he might be gay, Donna says, not really. He says that his family kind of questioned him on it. So, and this is something that will be revealed later. We'll talk a lot more about John's family life. His dad seems like a real piece of shit. Yep. And his dad admits later in one of the trials that comes off of this that he had questioned John about his sexuality because he'd had trouble with girlfriends in the past. And it's very, very clear that John's family, specifically his dad, is extremely homophobic. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So Scott went on to talk, from Jenny Jones's prompting. Jenny Jones was asking questions. Scott was answering questions. So Scott did talk about how John had a cute, hard body and described him as like a cute little thing, and said that he wanted, he'd had some fantasies about wanting to like tie him up and lick whipped cream off of him or something like that. And so they bring John out, and at first, I think he kind of feels like maybe it was Donna who had the crush on him. So he kisses Donna on the cheek, and then him and Scott do have like a very visibly awkward hug. And then it's revealed by Jenny Jones that it's Scott that has the crush on him. And you can see John, you can watch all this footage. It never aired, but you can find it like online or in this episode. You see him. He's laughing, he's smiling, and he says, "Oh, you guys lied to me." But he appears a little embarrassed, but
yeah,
like he's taking it in stride.
Yeah, it seems like very mild.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's when Jenny replays the clip of Scott talking about tying him to the hammock and those fantasies that he was having. And at this point, John does look embarrassed and uncomfortable, but he's mostly still smiling and laughing it off. When Jenny asks if he's single, he says, "Yes, I'm single, but I'm 100% heterosexual." So that's kind of it. It doesn't really feel like it feels like somebody who's maybe like a little bit like embarrassed, but it doesn't feel dangerous. It doesn't feel explosive. There's
Right.
no fighting that goes on at all. And after this, Jonathan, Donna, and Scott actually continue to hang out together. They hang out on a regular basis. And Donna would later say on the stand that John did not express any anger or displeasure with Scott about appearing on the show. Immediately after they take a plane home together, they go to a bar, and they continue hanging out that night. So nothing seems amiss. However, 3 days after the show, Scott leaves a love letter, a provocative love letter for John on his door, along with a flashing construction light, which they'd actually found at the airport on their way home. They'd found this light. And Scott, being an amateur electrician, he had rigged it or whatever to flash. And he left this note, and it read something like, "You have the tool to turn this off," basically. After reading this note, John goes to the bank. He pulls out money. He uses that money to then go purchase ammunition and then a gun. The clerk at the hardware store where the gun was purchased says that John didn't seem upset. He was polite. He was cool, calm, and collected the entire time. He then drives to Scott's residence, which is a mobile home. He knocks on the door, and John then asks Scott if he had left the note. According to court documents, Scott just smiled, at which time John told Scott that he needed to go turn his car off because he'd left it running. He went to his car, and he got the shotgun that he had just purchased. Scott knew that something was about to happen, and so he turns to his roommate, Gary, and he says, "Help, Gary, he has a gun." John came up with the gun kind of in an upward stance, not pointed at Scott, and he uses the gun to kind of push the door open, at which time Scott picks up a wicker chair and holds it in front of him, kind of like a shield. John then shoots Scott twice in the chest, and he dies immediately on sight. After the shooting, John immediately left the residence, went to a payphone, called 911, and confessed. When the operator asked John why, he said, quote, "Because he picked me on national TV and he's a homosexual." He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, and the media went
Nuts.
bonkers. They went fucking bananas about this story. So when it went to trial, the defense strategy was basically to say that he was pushed to it. They used a combination of the gay panic defense and the fact that he had some underlying mental health issues. Now, according to Wikipedia, the gay panic defense is a legal strategy in which a defendant claims they acted in a state of violent, temporary insanity, committing assault or murder because of unwanted same-sex sexual advances. So, they argued, his defense attorney argued diminished capacity, that this was a man who had been totally humiliated and embarrassed, and they even got a psychologist to say that he had bipolar disorder and reoccurring depression. And he also apparently had Graves' disease, which can cause misfires in the brain. And like I said, his dad is a piece of shit, and on the stand admits to, in front of all of John's classmates when he was a kid, beating him with a belt. So he did have abuse and things in his past.
Yeah.
However, Scott's brother was in the courthouse and was interviewed, and he was like, "I have Graves' disease. I have depression. That doesn't make you fucking murder somebody."
Right.
So he was appalled that they were using that as an excuse for premeditated murder, because there's no way you can, I mean, they did argue that it wasn't. They fully argued that it was not premeditated murder. But it doesn't feel like they should be able to, because it's like he literally went to the bank, pulled out money, bought ammunition, went and bought a gun, went to his house, didn't bring the gun with him the first time.
That's right.
Until he got what he needed to hear about the note, and then went and got the gun. There's nothing about that.
It makes me because I've seen so many things on this case, trial by media being the latest thing that I've watched about it. We're missing part of the story.
Yeah.
Because it's not gay panic. It's not, because
No.
I watched that clip and he's not that embarrassed by it. Maybe a little,
Right,
but he laughed it off, and they hung out after that.
Exactly. Because people do respond to embarrassment differently, and it's possible that like him laughing and stuff like that is the way that he responds to anxiety. I understand that, but the fact that he never confronted Scott about it, he wasn't upset. Donna Riley says like he wasn't upset with Scott or anything, didn't even say anything about like, hey, I wish you guys hadn't done that or anything like that. So we'll get to some things later on. But yes, I agree with you. So the defense attorney that's interviewed in trial by media is a piece of fucking shit. Prepare to be pissed at this fucking guy.
Yeah.
He's talking about how John is a really good guy who was humiliated, and basically blames the victim for not apologizing for embarrassing John on the Jenny Jones show. And he says this as though it would have saved his life. Well, if he had ever said that he was sorry for having done that, then maybe we wouldn't be in this situation. Like literally.
Okay.
So he had said in another interview that John was, quote, in a panic that he was being falsely accused or identified as a gay person.
No.
The defense brought out literal charts to show John's discomfort level at having to hug Scott on the Jenny Jones show. They created charts and they were pointing to, well, here during that hug is where his maximum discomfort is. Like literally, it's
God.
insane. Imagine, just for a second, like imagine if women killed dudes who showed interest in them just because they made us uncomfortable.
Right.
How many people would we fucking kill?
Well,
like,
I mean,
really?
it would be all of them. It would be literally like scorched fucking earth, because
Exactly.
that is like, people have crushes on you. You have crushes on people. They're unrequited all the time. Male
We
or
couldn't
female.
get away with
Right.
we couldn't get away with killing somebody who raped us, actually physically raped us, let alone
Exactly.
somebody who just
Exactly.
made us feel uncomfortable because of unwanted advances. Fuck right off
Right.
with all that shit.
Right.
Totally. So the defense attorney basically says that it was Scott who escalated the altercation because after John got back with the gun, Scott picked up the chair to protect himself. Because the defense attorney literally says when John came to the door, he wasn't pointing the gun at him. He had it in a non-defensive position.
He had a
So-
gun.
He had a fucking gun, which is what the roommate, Gary, says on the stand. You can see him. He's fucking appalled. He's like, he had a gun. I don't care how he was holding the gun. He had a fucking gun.
Exactly.
And so the defense attorney is arguing that Scott escalated the situation by picking up a chair to defend himself. I'm on fucking fire. Oh my God. And I will say it's not coded. This victim blaming is not coded. The defense attorney literally says in trial by media, quote, I mean, if anybody was asking to get killed that day.
Wow.
That's what he says.
It just makes me so fucking sad, because imagine being a part of a marginalized community that people are so fucking afraid of being called that there's a fucking defense strategy built around. It makes me so sad, because
Yep.
Well, this is the second time we've talked about this as a strategy for
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a million more.
yeah,
There's a
it's
million more. Gay
fucking
panic,
wild.
trans panic cases. There's a ton of them, unfortunately. There's a ton of them. And yeah, I'll talk. Okay, anyway. So the defense managed to convince the judge Which you have to also take in the internalized biases that these people have, including the fucking judge, to allow himself to be convinced. This is obviously premeditated murder. Clearly. It's a cut and dry case. But the defense managed to convince the judge to allow lesser degrees of second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, and involuntary manslaughter, and discharge of a weapon in the city limits, resulting in injury or death resulting, which is a 2-year misdemeanor. So the defense somehow managed to convince the judge, probably because the judge is homophobic himself, managed to convince him to allow lesser sentences to be considered. So the jury, accepting the claims of diminished capacity, found John guilty of second-degree murder in 1996, and he was sentenced to 25 to 50 years. His conviction, though, was overturned on appeal, but upon retrial, he was again found guilty of the same charge and again sentenced to 25 to 50 years. So the episode of the Jenny Jones show did not air, and Jenny Jones actually went on TV and defended her show, saying that while we all regret what happened, these were the actions of one individual. Which is true. So here's where you're going to get, like, here's where it gets murky, is because, like...
Ambush, man. It's can't do that shit.
It's awful. But at the same time, she's not wrong. There are lots of people who go on that show and get embarrassed and don't go kill people.
True.
So at the same time, you know, it is the actions of one person. And I loved this quote by Jeffrey Montgomery that's in the criminal episode. He's the president of a gay and lesbian advocacy group. And a lot of gay and lesbian groups didn't like the way that people were focusing so much on the Jenny Jones show. And he said, if the person who came out with a secret was a Jewish woman or a black woman or an Asian woman, and he went over to her house the next day and killed her because he was so repulsed that she'd embarrassed him that way on national television, nobody would be writing stories on the TV show's responsibility. Everybody would be writing stories about this racist, this anti-Semite. And that's true. It's because this was like a same-sex relationship that we focus so much on Jenny Jones. Whereas it's true, if a black woman had gone on there and said, I have a crush on my white coworker, and he was so repulsed that a black woman had a crush on him that he killed her, we would be talking about, oh my God, what a fucking racist.
Not like, oh my God, what a fucking homophobe.
Right. I mean, and to be honest, I'm completely with you as far as like these episodes of this show are distasteful and unfair, and they are manipulating and exploiting individuals on their show. And I think that that is gross, like completely gross. But both families after this, so both the Schmitz family and the Amerdure family, they blame producers on the Jenny Jones show in part for this incident. So Scott's family actually hires show lawyer Jeffrey Feigerer, and they sue the show. The show was charged with negligence. So during that trial for the show, yes, it's revealed that after the show, all three of them, Donna, John, and Scott, flew home together, and they spent the evening drinking at a local bar and continued to party at Donna's apartment. One of the producers of the show, as well as a friend of Scott's, said that Scott had told them that he and John had slow danced and kissed, possibly also had sex that night after the Jenny Jones show. Scott's mother also believes this to be true. She believes that Scott and John had a relationship, and that's part of what set John off. Donna Riley, on the other hand, denies that this happened, and they were at her house, and she says that she doesn't think that it happened. So it could be a case of the producer trying to deflect blame from Jenny Jones, or it could be the truth. We don't know. What we do know, and is admitted by John's father, is that after the show, they, go to the bar. John calls his dad from the bar and tells him what happened in Chicago wasn't good, and explains the situation, that the secret crush that was a man. And John's dad goes off. He freaks the fuck out. He admits on the stand, that he was furious, that he condemned, quote, the gay bastards, and he used the F word to describe them, and that he was so upset that he threw a chair.
Jesus Christ.
About this. So it was very clear, and John knew that his dad was not happy that his son was about to appear on the Jenny Jones show with this guy. His dad was not going to be happy if his son came across as potentially being homosexual. And it really gives you an insight into the kind of environment and family that John Schmitz grew up in.
And see, when I watched it, I thought to myself, and this is pure fucking speculation, that I think that he was curious. And I think that, you know, maybe they did have a friendship. Maybe there was a little bit of experimentation. And I feel like self-loathing is
yes, I think the same.
Big motivator for the shooting.
Right. I feel like it was shame because you have been conditioned not only by your family, but by society at large to think that this is the worst thing that you could be or do. And you couldn't deal with that. Like, not only was like your masculinity threatened, but also like you have your dad straight up losing his fucking mind at the idea
that could
his
be gay,
son
possibly,
or not, even if that's not the case, just him being associated with somebody who's gay.
I'm so glad that you're doing this just in light of June being Pride Month, as in addition to the week that we're seeing right now, where it's so furious to just have to try to explain people are people. Like, why do you have fucking hate in your heart like that? Like, what?
I was having this conversation yesterday.
I can't understand it.
I was having this conversation with Anthony yesterday because, you know, there's a lot of talk when you're from the Midwest about like coastal elites and like they're brainwashing our kids and like all of these things. And it just made me think like, no, what's happening is the reason why when people go to college or they move to a big city that they oftentimes become more liberal or more progressive is because they are being exposed to different people and different worldviews and different ways of life, and they're seeing those people as people.
Yes.
And it becomes much more difficult to hate someone whenever you're around them and you're like, oh, they're like me. They like the same books I like, the same TV shows I like. Their mom is like my mom. You know, like it becomes much more difficult to hate people when you're exposed in that way. And, you know, it just makes me extremely sad. Extremely sad. This case, at the end of trial by media, during the credits, they showed a bunch of pictures of Scott Amerdure growing up, of him with his siblings, of him as a child. And it was so clear to me that like, oh, this was just a person. And like, he's been blown up in the media. He was demonized in the 90s because how could he have done this thing to such a nice boy, John Schmitz? You know, he's partially responsible for his own fucking murder. No, he was a person who had a feeling that all of us experience, a crush on somebody who was his friend.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
And so during the trial, Jenny Jones took the stand and she worked the crowd for a bit, but in the end, Feiger ripped her to shreds. Like he seems like a piece of shit, but I mean, he's probably the guy you want in your corner in a thing like this. So in May of 1999, the jury found that the Jenny Jones show was both irresponsible and negligent, contending that the show intentionally created an unpredictable situation without due concern for the possible consequences. And so the jury awarded the Amerdures $29 million. However, They never saw any of it. The judgment was later overturned by the Michigan Court of Appeals in a 2-1 decision, and the Michigan Supreme Court declined to hear the case. So here's the thing. I absolutely, my heart goes out to that family for their pain and suffering, and I would be inclined to do the same thing because you want to place blame somewhere, and like I understand that. But at the end of the day, John Schmitz is responsible for this murder.
Yeah, and I kind of am inclined to believe that it's something that might have happened without the Jenny Jones show anyways, because his deep homophobia would have caused that event anyways, I think, because...
he would have never had to share that story with his dad. He would have never, it might not have escalated because maybe then it's not public. You know what I'm saying? It's a private thing, like, oh, your friend has a crush on you and you can brush it under the rug and you can brush it off because not the world knows. Your dad doesn't know. Your grandma's not going to accidentally see that on Jenny Jones and you're not going to have... So I see, and I agree what you're saying. But is there some? Did it?
I mean, if I'm
his levels,
if I'm Jenny Jones, I definitely have trouble sleeping at night because I personally feel responsible. Like if I were in her shoes, I would definitely feel responsibility. I would.
She doesn't. It's clear she doesn't feel responsible. She's had interviews where she said she doesn't feel responsible for this situation at all. And in fact, the Jenny Jones show aired until 2003. So, I mean, it stayed on the air and she continued to put out episodes that were similar in nature to this with the same kind of ambush. I think I fall somewhere in between both of you. I think that this is a situation that very well could have happened with or without the Jenny Jones show. I do think, though, that there is the possibility that if John had been allowed to explore his sexuality outside of it being broadcast to the whole world, that maybe he could have quietly done that, figured himself out, and then moved on with his life without everyone knowing. Because I do think seeing that dad, I would not have wanted to grow up in a household with that dad. And that dad, I think, did trigger him. And I think it did give him anxiety that this was going to happen.
Or it not accelerated, but I mean, it's...
Yeah, I think
it was a little bit
of
gasoline on the fire, maybe.
Yeah, and it's not to say that it wouldn't have happened because somebody with that much deep-seated homophobia and or self-hate, given we don't know what his, actual sexual leanings are, it could have happened anyway. We just don't know.
So he's still in jail now, right?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
So he was released on parole in 2017 after serving 22 years. But I think the thing that's interesting about this case and about all gay and trans panic cases, which, I mean, gay and trans panic, it continues to be a defense strategy that is still used in courtrooms to this day. They are being gay. They're seeing being gay as a combative stance, as a justifiable reason for somebody to freak out. And here's the thing about that, and we've already touched on it. Women deal with unwanted advances all the time. And is it always comfortable? No, it's not. Does it always feel safe? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that I can turn around because somebody says they have a crush on me and
kill them?
Stab them to death? No, I can't. That's not how this works.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and there is a little bit of me that feels something for Jonathan Schmitz, because I just feel like if you had been raised differently, if it had been a different situation, a different time, if we weren't in a culture that treats people this way, maybe it wouldn't have happened. Maybe you never would have done something like that. But at the end of the day, you did. And you needed to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, so you do. And it's shitty that he used the gay panic thing, because it's I just don't understand how people harbor hate in their heart for anybody, of the color of their skin, who they decide to love. Like
it's so deep seated. Clearly,
you make that choice. At the end of the day, there are a lot of people that got raised in shitty households with fucking racist, ignorant, abusive parents or whatever, who come out of that, and you get to make your own decisions.
Yes.
You get to decide.
By the time you're an adult, guess what? It's your responsibility to unlearn that shit. It's your responsibility to unlearn it. And here's another thing. Don't let anybody fucking tell you that just because somebody is your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister, that you have to keep them in your life. If that person is fucking toxic to you, cut them the fuck out. Cut them out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because, I think it may have been a different story if he had cut out the toxic people in his life that made him feel like this. Because I don't believe that he actually thought it was wrong, because nobody, like, this was your best friend, basically. You spent a lot of time with this person. A lot of time with this person. I don't know. It's truly like, it's a very, very, very upsetting case. And my heart goes out to his family, because they're still distraught by it. His brother was interviewed in trial by media. They'll never get over this. They'll never get their brother back. And that's what they said. Even though you can tell that they feel, they're better people than me, they feel some empathy for John. They say, well, I don't think that he should be out, because my brother doesn't get to keep living his life.
Yeah. And I thought that was a really powerful choice too, that show made by showing all of his baby pictures.
It humanized him. It really, really did, especially in these cases that become so sensational. And are spread all over, and all you ever see are those same clips over and over from the Jenny Jones show. It becomes easy to kind of like minimize his life into this one thing.
Right.
And that's not who he was. It was a moment in his life, you know? And so.
Yeah.
Oh, good one.
Anyway.
Good one.
Ooh,
Thank you. Thank you for talking about that. That was definitely a good Crazy in Love. Yeah, one that we needed right now. So, what are you guys watching? I mean, I know now, Keegan, you're watching Trial by Media too. I was going to text you about that because, like I said, I've watched all of them. There's a really fun one, actually, really fun one on Richard Scrushy. Watch that one, and you'll get a good laugh. The lawyers are hilarious. So that one's really good. But yeah, I would, if you are not ready for something really, really hard, the Big Dan's Tavern really hit me.
That story sounds familiar.
You'll recognize it as soon as you hear it. It's the very first televised court case, and they decided that it would be a good idea to do it for a rape case.
Oh, fun.
Awful.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't want to watch
make
that.
me want to burn down.
Yeah.
I already want to set the world on fire.
Yeah.
So,
but
maybe not at this moment.
Yeah. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and it really, really stuck with me. It's a very, very well done, but yeah, it's a hard watch. So we are going to dive into the Jeffrey Epstein documentary on Netflix. Speaking of burning it down,
God.
and
Bless you.
So yeah, definitely either that or The Right Stuff. I don't know why. But we both have been really wanting to rewatch it. Speaking of like nostalgic things, I think that's like my dad's favorite movie, and yeah,
I've never seen it.
I don't think I have either.
Oh my God, it's like 3 hours long, and it's the most dad movie you've ever seen. It is the daddest movie, up there with like freaking World War II movies and shit. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Pride Month, so quick plug for my other podcast, Your Angry Neighborhood Feminist. I watched A Secret Love.
Oh.
And we reviewed it
God.
our first. We always do a full month of Pride-themed episodes in June. And so that's our first one as we
Was it so good?
Reviewed it. It was very good. Now, here's what I'll say, and I say this throughout the episode as well. I feel like the filmmaker who was the nephew of one of the women, I feel like he didn't have a very clear vision. So while the first half of the movie is very much focused on them and their relationship, which is amazing, and I love it, he ends up going into a lot of family stuff. You know, because these are two women who are getting older, and so the theme kind of changes into like aging and what that looks like for this couple, but it's still really interesting and it's still a really important story. So I do recommend watching that. I do.
Nice.
Yeah. It
lovely. Is interesting now that we're, you know, heading into this generation of, you know, same-sex couples that have finally been able to get married and that, and now they're retiring into homes and things. And aging is something that is, you know, just as much something they're going to deal with as anybody. So I guess it is kind of interesting to see maybe how that unfolds, how they're, you know,
totally
end of life plans are coming together, because that's,
I will say, there are a few things I like more than watching like old footage and stuff like that, and they have like so much of it, and so much of it with the two of them together, because
I love it.
For those of you who like don't know, A Secret Love is all about these two women who have been in a relationship for 6 decades.
Wow.
For like 60 years together since like the 1940s, the late 40s. And so there's all these pictures and all this video footage of them together when they were like young on the beach, or pictures that they took, like set up a camera and took pictures of themselves in bed together. And I love that shit. I love it.
I'm excited. I want to see that. Well, Chris and I last night we were like, just looking for a movie and kind of an escapist, like something just kind of whatever, light. And we settled on The Long Shot. Have you guys seen that yet? It came out like last year. Yes.
Theron and Seth Rogen. And Seth Rogen, who I fucking love Seth Rogen. We gotta put him in a fuck, marry, kill at some point.
Hard.
His laugh though. I couldn't
my
marry
God,
him.
I
couldn't
love
marry
it.
him.
I could
I have
definitely.
a really good friend who laughs like that, and it's cute. I think it's cute.
I love it. At any rate, the movie is fucking great. I honestly didn't expect anything out of it. Like, I was just like, whatever. Like, I'll watch it. Kind of like didn't go into it with any expectations, or I was literally laughing out loud. It is so fucking funny and cute, and I high recommend.
Nice.
Well, she's marvelous and he's hilarious. So
definitely.
I've also we've been putting on Storage Wars.
Oh, hell yes.
Brilliant.
Dude, I low key like wish that I had just extra money to bid on mystery lockers.
You know what? I feel like it could become a real serious addiction, though. Like, I really
Totally.
do. Because it's like gambling,
Yes.
right? Where you're like, maybe I'll get nothing, but maybe I'll get an ancient artifact. I don't know.
There could be a priceless painting in there.
The reality is you're bidding on somebody who just stopped paying for their stuff. There's not going to be anything valuable in there.
Which means you're probably going to get like 3 dirt devils.
Yes.
And like a paint by numbers.
Yeah. And like really old computer
And like
equipment.
Oh my God.
wet clothes.
Floppy disks.
Yeah.
Ew, wet, moldy clothes. So many moths.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you have something that we should watch, or you have stories for us, or you just want to reach out, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And God, thank you guys so much for being on Facebook and being who you are, and for listening. We love you so much.
Cheers.